Hey friends, Charles from The Gentleman's Journey here. Guys, in this video we're going to be making a DIY leather ditty bag for all my bushcrafting needs. We're going to be replacing this guy with this situation over here. So let me lay it out here, kind of what we're doing, guys. We're getting rid of this situation here. This was a stuff sack for a little bed mat, and I am going to be making this. Now check it out. This is all the stuff I like to carry on all my adventures that you guys see me on. I might be using one of these little bundles, one of these go packs, just some fat wood, some SWS, you know, all this stuff. It's like, why not have a little bit of everything? Of course, I always have my knife nearby. I'm gonna walk through this, guys. If you are a leather worker, you might cringe a couple times. Friends, I have all the tools and all the stuff, and I've been able to create some really nice stuff. Today is going to be something kind of just, you can run out, grab a simple little set of tools, basically a punch, rivet setter, and then you'll be on your way. So I have some tools we'll break out that you definitely don't need. So come along, guys, and I think it's gonna be a fun one. So what I've done here is I've kind of figured out what size I want it to be. Now I am replacing this bag here, and I used to have my knife in there. That's the only thing I'm not sure. I don't think my knife's gonna fit in there anymore, so I'm gonna have to carry that with me. This is obviously excessive. You could use just a couple of these things, but I like to have it all here. So this is just a really thin piece of leather. I can't remember how many ounces, but nothing too crazy here, friends. It's already chrome tanned, but I'm going to be rolling over the edges. I am gonna glue those. You don't have to glue them, but I'm gonna start by kind of sizing that out. I'm gonna roll that and then rivet down, and then I'm gonna rivet here, and then over here I'm gonna cut this off, and then this part is gonna be a bit of a flap that's gonna come over with two snaps right there. I am going to put one of my Gentleman's Journey deals on the back side, so I'm gonna rivet that in as well. Everything's gonna be rivets. I have stitching stuff. I could stitch it, but we're not going that route. I'm probably gonna do brown. The video is gonna be done by the time you guys get to decide, but let me know if you like the green on brown or brown on brown. The other thing I want to do, friends, is make a special sleeve from our ferro rod. So I'm gonna have that right here. I'm gonna have a little piece of leather I'm gonna cut off, and I'm gonna rivet that down, have a separate snap right there just for the ferro rod. So as I get into it, I'm gonna determine if I'm gonna put this on the front or back, and then my little label on the front or the back. So I think that's about the size that I want it. So now I think the first step for me is going to be to cut this to size. Now I want a little bit of a lip. Let me make sure. I want this piece to have a little bit of a lip as well. So I'm gonna take this guy, come back about the distance that I want that to overlap. So that looks good to me. I can't remember if this leather is square, but everything's gonna be rough cut on this thing. And for me, bushcrafting, you're out in the wilderness and you just want it to work. It doesn't always have to be beautiful, ornate. I love that stuff too. I think companies like Bushcraft do a really good job of still making it sleek, but I think by the end of it, it'll be something I'm proud of. So there we are, guys. Now I have an extra little piece here that I'm gonna cut again, and that's gonna be my little sleeve, if you will, because I like to have my ferro rod right handy. First thing I can do, just to get started, is go ahead and put some glue on here. I'll do my best to put some of the links to some of this stuff. This is 5-Bings leather cement. I really have been impressed with this stuff over the years. I'll put another bead on this side. This is a step I would say you could definitely skip. Guys, if you want to grab a little piece of leather online or a little something from Tandy Leather, if you got one in your area, you can get this done, this project, pretty cheap. So I got a bunch of these clips right here, and that's gonna help me. You know, if you're doing some fine leather work, you don't necessarily want this clip making a mark or a crease on your leather, or indentation, I should say. But for me in this project here, this is gonna work good. Alrighty. So friends, that's how that is gonna connect. I'll come along and rivet that later on. And then we gotta do the same thing with the bottom. So I'm gonna undo a couple of these and start imagining where the bottom of this pouch is gonna be. Alrighty, there we are again. So we're gonna get some of this stuff put back in there and start trying to figure out how far I wanna cut the top. So the bottom is gonna overlap the top there, so I need to cut a little section off. Don't forget, you can always add more, you can always cut more, but you can never add it back on. Alright friends, I'm just gonna start by, I think we're gonna end up cutting more off, but I'm gonna see how I like this right here. So this is the part that's gonna come over and have about 2 snaps right here and here. I'm gonna put a slight corner on that and a slight corner on that. So it has to be wide enough to have rivets on each side, but it really doesn't have to be too big. I'm gonna have the rope actually stick out. So somewhere's about here. I got more leather if I ever mess up. Alrighty. We are going to be punching holes and riveting before you know it. Okay, so this is going to be the pouch on the back, and that's going to contain my fire starter, my ferro rod right there. So I'm going to start punching holes. I have this wood table I'm on, but I'm going to go ahead and put my little cutting board under there. Alright guys, we are eyeballing this, so I want this to be in the middle of the back. So friends, I have different sized punches right here. This one here is 1/8. It's a craft tool. Then I have a mallet right here. This is a rawhide mallet. I'm going to start in this my bottom left corner. Alright, so I've gone all the way through. So I really love these antique brass looking rivets right here. So we're going to go that route. These ones have a flat head on one end and then the dome cap on the other end. So let me stick that in there. If you don't have a punch, you can use one of these guys right here. It has all different sizes. Again, it'll tell you what different size they are. Basically, you want your hole as small as possible. You don't need the hole any bigger than necessary. I can set these by hand, but I have this press, so I'm going to go ahead and press the first one. To be honest, these rivets are a little bit too long, so I have to make sure to press that really straight. They have a tendency to bend rather than actually set quite right. If you want, you can use a piece of leather behind the rivet on the inside to account for some of that space. There's a couple different things you can do there, but I was able to get that one pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and work down this left side because I'm going to want to lift it a little bit, and that way I can make sure that I have enough room and that that's a nice solid fit there. So let me get a couple more of these set. And this set here is actually what you use to set them by hand. So because this side's going to be just flat, I can put the flat bar under there. And this has the concave dome to it, if you will. It's really not great to use metal on metal, so if you don't have this, maybe a rubber mallet. So I'm going to go ahead and continue the rest of them with my press. Press allows me to have better downward force that's a lot more accurate. Alright, so there we are. We have that little pouch started. And now I'm going to give it a little bit of a curve in there and make our first hole. Alrighty, that is starting to look right. All I need to do now is, well, I'm gonna put 2 more rivets across the bottom. Well, check it out, guys. So my plan is to grab this and shove it down with the rope sticking out. That is already looking like a pouch. Can you believe it? So there we go. We have a couple snaps there. Bam. Now leatherworking is all about thinking ahead in the processes. So one thing I should have done that isn't going to end up being a big deal, but I should have put the other end of my snap right there in advance. So that way I already have it on there, and I could have used the press. Now a lot of these I end up setting by hand anyways, so I can sneak this guy in there and it won't do too much in terms of making a mark on this. In fact, I'll slip this piece of leather under there to do my best not to mar up that leather. I gotta cut my hole first as well. So here's what we use for these guys, and on the bottom is going to be this guy. So let me get that through. I'm gonna cheat and use this fat wood. And awe is really nice to have, so I can kind of imagine where I want that to be. I can even take, well, that was actually kind of helpful. I can take that and let's say we want it a little ways down from the top of the leather, and I can just put a little hole, and now I know exactly where I want it. Again, I have 3 sizes of these. I'm gonna grab my middle size and make my hole. Very easy. Stick the bottom end of that in there, and that just needs something flat. Then there's another tool right here. Guys, this is what's going to mushroom out that piece. So now we have the bottom end of our snap on there. I was thinking it would be nice to round off these corners, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quickly. Here's that same bar that we had. Has the concave section there, and that's where the head of that fits very smoothly into that. This one you want to kind of keep downward pressure on the clip, the snap part, while also hammering. All right, so my snap's working really nicely. Look at that, friends. I'm so stoked. This is stuff I've just been thinking about, and now it's coming together. I mean, I think that's going to be a pretty smooth action there. Do I want it to stick out a little bit or blend in? I'll tell you what, this green cord looked pretty nice, so I'm going to go ahead and go green. Go green. We're going green, friends. How fun. Look at that, guys. All right, I gotta think ahead. What am I forgetting to do? I was thinking about putting a carabiner loop on the back. That's what I was thinking. So I'm gonna put this little loop here, right above that. This is gonna be reinforcement on the inside. So that is gonna have a little bit extra leather on the inside to catch those rivets. Cool, I'm digging that. See the added protection? Could have done that on all these. All right, those look good to me. Now I am not going to put the top ones on until I got all these rivets, because things could shift and that would make that be kind of funky. So I don't see why we don't start riveting. We have different rivets for these. This is a double-sided cap, so it's gonna have a smooth, nice cap on each side. And they are actually a little bit longer than my other ones. And that's good because I've piled up so much leather there and the glue that we need a little bit more length. All right, this feels great, guys. This feels so good. We are getting done. So everything's staying together just fine, so I don't have to set these per se. Kind of each to their own, but I can go ahead and just put the holes in the caps, so that's gonna hold it. You guys are gonna see this in every video. I'm gonna make sure and pull it out and brag on it because this is a fun project. So friends, I think at this point we have nothing left but to finish these last 2 snaps. Let me show you my kind of trick that I get around making sure I put those in the right spot. So I will line that up pretty nice how I want it to be. Then I can push an indentation and you can fill the other end of that snap. I can take my awl and put a hole right there. While this is still in that spot, I'm gonna come over and do the other side. Put a little hole. All right, so now we know where we need those to be. Now I'm gonna find my punch. Get that guy. Get that guy. All right, let's see if my snaps work. That one works. That one worked. Friends, I am so happy right now. Proud to say that I have a new Ditty bag. DIY, all leather. You know, it's gonna replace this synthetic bag. All I have now is to fill it. So let me show you guys. I did a video called 10 fire starters. 10 fire starters in 2025. And let me show you kind of what some of the things I like to carry. So this is my SWS fire starter kit. It has some fire plugs and some jute cord with wax. Either of those are gonna take a spark from my ferro rod. Of course, I made a special little spot on here for the ferro rod because that's how much I love it. I kind of want to know where it's at all times. So now it has its own little home with a snap. All right, so we have the SWS. Then you have like another big heavy duty jute cord. This actually was from SWS. Then like the Blackbeard, kind of the same situation, different stuff going on in there. I really like these little bundles. These things are fun. They're full of wax and they just light up super easy. These Go Fire, you know, work really well. You can light them with the match, open them up, lighten them with the ferro rod. Then I like to have some fat wood. You know guys, some fat wood you can feather stick out if you want. Get some shavings and that is going to take even with the strike of a ferro rod. So that's something I like to have. Here's some jute cord that's supposed to be in this tube here. And then when you light it, you can extinguish it by pulling it out. But it came all the way through, unfortunately. Then I like to have some matches. All right, we'll snap this up. There it is, guys. Pretty cool, right? Gentleman's Journey special. I got my ferro rod right where I can grab it handy. I think you're gonna see this in a lot of videos. Friends, we're doing all kinds of adventures. We always take this stuff out and actually use it. So check back the channel for all kinds of adventures that we've been on. Coming up, you'll see me pulling this out and bragging on it from time to time. I think it's gonna be a fun little piece of kit. There's something about just building your own that feels better than just buying something and grabbing something. There's a lot of great companies. I was looking at Colorado Bushcraft and some others that make really good gear that I was interested in. But this was pretty fun. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if there's some other videos you want to see. Friends, from adventure to the next adventure, be blessed. Friends, if you like this video and you want to watch more, head over now to the Gentleman's Journey YouTube channel where you'll find a bunch of adventures just like this. Guys, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell. That way you'll get notified every time we put out another video. We'll catch you in the next one.